Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good night to all of you that know me and all of you that don't. My name is Val. I'm making another video. I know it's been a while, but life is critical. I've been working and putting the pieces back together after my mom's passing. And I was inspired to do this video. So I thought I would do it. But as usual, I give glory to God, because without God, there's nothing. All that we are is because of Him, and all that we will ever be is because of Him. Praise and glory unto His holy name, that we may have the things we have and be able to do the things that we do. I glorify Him for these realities, for without Him, there's nothing. He loves us so much, John 3:16. God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's powerful, right? Because He sacrificed something that's Him, that's indivisible by Him. But for us, wretched people who sinned all the time, me included, hey, Paul is like that, I'm like that too. I'm the chief of sinners, right? I'll be the first to tell you that there's flaw everywhere, but I'm working on those flaws. I recognize that there's flaws, and I want to make them right as much as I can. And this is why I trust in Him with all that I am, because without Him, I'm nothing. I'm flawed, right? We just discovered that. So I can only talk about me. You. Use that to your advantage, and recognize what needs to be worked on for you. But there's one that can get you out of all things, and that's Him, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without Him, we are nothing. Can't say that enough. But with Him, we're everything, because we become part of Him, right? So in the beginning, we came from Him. God is the one that breathed that life into that clay mold that made man. And then He took the rib from the man to make the woman, and here we are, right? Adam and Eve and descendants from that point forward. So let's recognize what's important first and foremost, and the only reason I have the things, and I'm sure the only reason you guys have what you have, is because of God's merciful glory and grace. True to true, infinite in existence. It's amazing to know something that I'm not worthy to know. And I love you guys for being here. I love you guys for sharing this life with me. As inconsistent as it is, I love you guys for all that you do in your own respect. All right, with that said, thank God for all, and let's jump right into it. So, you guys know that I built a power wall, a Ecoflow power wall, which I built to augment my Tesla power wall. And I built that because I noticed that the exchange rate for Duke Energy just was not right? And so I built additional storage capacity without going back to Tesla to get more power walls. I built something that can be broken down, that can be transported, that can be utilized in whatever means or capacity I thought necessary. And to be honest with you, my first thought was my neighbors, right? I'm close with some of my neighbors, and it was like, if I can't really run extension cords across the street to feed them power in the event that we have a great outage and or a storm that comes in that creates a great outage. But I thought, it'll be nice to have something that I can break down and share power as needed, especially for those who it becomes critical for. So anyway, I did that. I showed you guys that power wall. I put in a smart home panel to be able to control that power and I allocated particular circuits from the house, majority of it, because basically what I did was I left all the 240 circuits attached to the Tesla Powerwall, and I migrated all my 120 circuits over to the smart home panel from Ecoflow. And And I use that to be able to make a distinction for power distribution as necessary, and gives me the control to disable those powers, enable, do whatever powers, those circuits, enable, disable those circuits as I see fit to utilize the power, or to distribute power as I see fit in a grid outage condition. Well, I also had another issue, right? Is because where do I get the power to power this power wall, right? So one of the thoughts was, well, I have extra production on my Tesla roof mounted system. So what I would do is wait for the Tesla power walls to be completely filled or restored from the night before. And then whatever excess power, instead of sending it to the grid, was the primary thought, I'll just push it into the Ecoflow power wall. That works. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just that when you have a heavy usage, or when you have bad weather, clouds, you know, the Tesla on-roof power wall, a roof-mounted rather, power wall doesn't do enough to do both power walls, right? It might get the primary Tesla power walls up, but not the Ecoflow. So I thought, well, you know what? Let me look at a ground-mounted scenario. And I showed you guys that too. I had 3 Tesla industrial panels in my backyard, and they produce anywhere from 1.1 to 1.3 kilowatt hours, right? So good sun, good day. Yeah, I can definitely do some good restoration of energy to the power wall. I have 6 batteries, so can't really do all 6, but I can restore. But one of the problems I have is, you know, the Ecoflows. The problem with the Ecoflow is that it cannot, it has 1600 watts of solar max input, right? What is it? 11 to 150 volts max input charge controller, so, and 15 amps, right? So the problem I have with that scenario is that I can't really split that, what was being produced, let's say let's call it 1.2 on the Tesla industrial power panels rather. There's 3 of them, and I'm bringing in about 1.2 kilowatts, or 1.2 kilowatts, watt hours rather, right? If the sun is out and all is well, it can steadily produce 1.2 watt hour. And problem with that is you can't split it between the 2 deltas. So because I have, and I'll show you guys in a second, because I have 6 batteries, I have 2 deltas and 4 smart batteries. Each delta can handle up to 2 additional smart batteries for capacity, right? So I'm on 14.4. And that's the problem, right? 14.4 kilowatts, so that's the problem. So when I tried it, so I know it doesn't work. It does flip-flopping between the two deltas. So what would happen is, as the controllers call for a different amount of power intake, even on a ramp up, it would flip from the power. Let me get my thoughts together. One controller will call for power, and the other controller will give up the power, and then it would flip to the other way. The other controller will call for power, and then that controller, and even though they're not tied together, that's how it worked, because there's not enough power being produced to split the energy evenly between the 2 Delta Pros. So it would just keep flip-flopping and nothing would happen. I actually don't think it's good for the charge controllers inside the Delta Pros. So what I did is I installed a solar disconnect with surge suppressions in case of a lightning strike. And so I would have to manually switch one off and power. What I did is I merged, or what you said, parallel the output of the surge protector or the solar disconnect So I have two inputs, or rather I take that back. I have two inputs, but only one active. And then I parallel that one input to the two outputs going to each delta. So I will use the breakers to select which delta is getting solar energy, right? So how can you do that? You can do it, but if you had high power and it was exceeding or it was above the minimum for the solar controllers, then it would just respectively pull half of each, or it would split the difference. With this 1.2, it wasn't enough, especially when it's low energy condition. That's the problem, right? From a solar rise to a solar set, it just wasn't enough energy. And so it would do that flip-flop, and it's just inconducive to what you're trying to accomplish. So I started to do it manually. So when I'll charge one delta to above 50%, and then that's half day, and then I'll charge the other delta to above 50%, that's the other half of the day, if it's a good day. And that's how I was doing it. And I struggled for a while to try to figure out how can I remotely switch this. And I tried all kind of stuff, smart butt, finger bot, and all these little light switch automation type devices that allows you to remotely turn on switches or devices via these little switch bot is the name of the one, and then finger bot is the name of the other one. I tried all kind of things and some other things, and then one day I saw something that clicked in my mind, and I was like, wait a minute, that's a good thing. That might work, right? And what I did was I thought about, even sometimes in my industry when we're working with other integrators or we're working with conveyor companies, we see they use contactors to bring in larger circuits, and that contactor has a controlling voltage that energizes a coil, and as long as you can energize that coil, is all you needed, right? Well, there's two typical forms of energizing a coil: 24 volts. Typical, I said, 24 volts or 120. And so I started searching, and I found some contactors on Amazon. I did with 120 because of what I'm using to energize. So Kaza is one of those companies that do home light switch, like Leviton, and there's a whole bunch of them out there. But Kaza is one that I've been using for years, that have smart light switches and stuff, that wireless lights that allows you to automate your house, right? Whether it's an outlet, a light switch, or various other remote devices. But one of the things they have is a power strip that each individual plug has its own individual connection or ability to be switched on and off. And so I'm going to show you guys what I did and talk you through it. And it turned out to be a very good solution, but this gets comprehensive, so I'm gonna try to minimize. I'm already at 13 minutes, right? So I'll try to minimize, so I'm gonna rush through this. If you have questions, just, as usual, ask the questions and I'll give you answers, or I'll do a subsequent video later on. But let me switch the camera around and show you guys kind of what I have. Okay, so starting with here, this is that solar disconnect switch I told you about. So you just search suppression for lightning suppression and break it. That's all it is. So initially you have two inputs and two outputs. So what I did initially before I made some later modifications that I'll talk to you about, there are two inputs. I went ahead and I took one of the inputs and I paralleled it to the two outputs, and then I will control which output has the power by cycling breakers, right? Well, no longer, that's a thing of the past. As you can see, I currently have two inputs, but disregard that for the time being. Imagine if there was only one input and I had two. So what I did, I got two contactors. And if you notice, these just so you know, so you can see brand if you need to. But these contactors are 240 rated contactors, right? But the coil for the contactor that switches the contactor off and on is 120. And that's the controlling terminals right there. And there's a 120 contactor in the same scenario. So I have two of those, right? And each one of those those coils are plugged into this Kaza smart outlet. power strip, right? So it has 3 ports on that plus some USB stuff, irrelevant. But I have a fountain on one, and then each one of those contactors on each respective outlet or outlet plug. So that allows me to control which delta is getting power via solar for my past setup, right? And just to give you guys a comprehensive, that's it. 6 batteries, Powerwall. Now, like I said, I'll get into this in a second. I had a smart home panel, just the first revision. Now I just recently installed a smart home panel 2, which night and day. Guys, it's an amazing piece of device. I wish, well, it wasn't available when I initially did this project. So I moved all my 120 breakers. I didn't actually move the breakers because the smart home panel is adaptable to all kind of different breakers. But this is an Eaton panel, but for the Eatons, they only use the BR breakers, not the CH Cutler hammers. So I had to use the BRs, and the house panel is actually CH. So I just put BR breakers in here, and I left the CH in the house panel. No foul, no harm. Worst case scenario, if I move from here, rent this place out, whatever the case is, and I decide I want to take it with me, I can, and just rewire the house panel. And again, no foul, no harm. So what I did is, it's all, and I know I'm getting off track, but since I'm talking about it, might as well. It's all, I only have one 120, I only have one 240 in here, and that's my hybrid water heater. I chose to move that over because, again, like I said, the Tesla Powerwalls, there's another Powerwall behind that box. You guys already know this. Excuse all the mess, but there's another Powerwall behind that box. That's a solar panel, an extra solar panel that I'm gonna get into with you guys here in a second. But I left all my 240s on the Tesla Powerwall, and I move only the one 240 for the hybrid water heater, because that usually only pulls anywhere from 300 to 400 watts to reheat water. And in the winter, if we have an outage, a water heater is something I would like to have to get a comfortable bath, you know, because I have enough generation for it to not be a problem anyway. So with that said, this is it. This is the smart panel. There's a ton of videos on YouTube about this thing, so don't need to do that. I just really want to show you guys that I have the double voltage hub, which allows me to bring the 2 Delta Infinity ports into this, which creates this panel is required a 240 solution. So that double voltage hub allows me to input 240 into this panel. So I have 2 additional spare ports where I can put a Ultra or a Delta Pro DP3, a Delta Pro 3, whatever. I am waiting for my Ultra to come. I am gonna add an Ultra to this because, and I'll tell you why. There's, I wanna try out the Ultra. I'm gonna move this ladder and put the Ultra directly underneath this area. I wanna try the Ultra and see how it works. It's so quiet. Right now you can hear, because we are feeding the house via the Deltas. The fans are on, but they're not loud, they're manageable. You probably can't even hear them via the DJI mic. But I have one of the batteries here. I took it out and I just left it out, cover it up. I have the battery already. I just need the inverter. And once I get that, I'm gonna get this connected, and I'll have a mixed solution here, which I wanna try. But Ecoflow have a trade-in program that will allow me to trade all 6 of these in, and I can easily buy 2 more batteries, 2, 3 more batteries. So, and really don't have to spend no additional money. And that for the Ultra, that puts me at 18 kilowatts. This solution, I think, is 21.6 or 21.4 kilowatts, respectively. Well, actually, I know what it is. It's 14.4. So, actually, I take that back. What are we? Oh, respectively, yeah. So, 21.6, I think, or 2 or 4. One of those numbers. Anyway, don't really want to think about it right now. But anyway, it's about 21 kilowatts of power, and so I won't, with the Ultra, even with 2 more batteries, that puts me at 18 kilowatts. But I can scale that as I see fit when appropriate, which will allow me to have a max on just one stack up to 18 kilowatts of power. I'm sorry, 30 kilowatts of power. 5 batteries equals 5 times 6 is 30. 30 kilowatts of power at 7.2 kilowatt output, right? Which is enough to run everything I showed you in here, all the 120 circuits, as well as the water heater. So that's the short of it. But for those of you who were curious about being able to split one solar string of power, so in this case, you have a setup similar to mine's, and you only have the means to feed one or the other. Well, this is a solution that would allow you to split one solar string or one source of power to 2 different devices remotely. And especially if you have the capacity to monitor those devices, you can determine which one you want to send the power to respectively, right? So it's a very cool selection. Now, what I was going to say, not even a few weeks after I made this modification, I decided to just go and buy another string of solar panels, right? And I'll take you guys to see that now. I decided, you know, even though I can switch it remotely, I'm not getting the kind of daily production I want to get, or solar intake I want to get, without using the Tesla solution. So I just like, I would like for each Delta to respectively have its own string. So I add another string of solar panels to the solution to try to mitigate the lack of recharging throughout the day, or fully recharging throughout the day. Anyway, I'll take you guys and show you the other string and explain that out to you. Stand by. All right, here we go. So the dark panels in the back are the Teslas. Those are 435s each, but they're, as you can see, they're bigger than the new bifacials that I bought. These bifacials are 460 each. And the bifacials technically are doing better. Head to head, it's about 10 watts ahead than the Teslas, but those are older panels. I bought those used. But in low light, especially when the sun is setting, they're equal. Light is light, and it only takes in what it can take in. However, I gotta say, guys, in the morning when the sun is coming up, it comes up over this house and that angle where those 2 houses are. And so that light hits the back, and man, it's like double the output as the Teslas, obviously, because the Teslas are not bifacial, but it's like double the output, man, at least for a couple of hours. But then they kind of equalize, and like I said, it averages about 50 watts ahead of the Teslas, and largely because it's bifacial. So even though this is grass, it's bright light, and everything, whether it's off the back of the house or off the Teslas themselves, and even the grass, radiant light is hitting the back side of the panels, which is ambient light, I should say, is hitting the back side of the panel, which is allowing for additional wattage, right? And if you can look, these panels are designed in such a way where anywhere outside of the solar cells is translucent. So all that light is penetrating through the back and then illuminating this back side, which creates that additional output. And as you can see, I did this. You know, I was not going to do this, and then I said, you know what, bump this, man. I'm doing it. It just felt like the right thing to do. So now I have 2 strings of power going to each respective Delta, and there we are. So I'm thinking about, I got plenty of space. I'm thinking about even just putting a 3rd string when I get the Ultra to allot for feeding the Ultra, and then each aspect of that solar solution would have its own solar input. So let me know what you think. Until I decide to do that, what I may do is just satisfy the Ultra with either Tesla excess power, or when each respective Delta solution gets full, then disconnect, which I really dread going back to hold this disconnect method, right? And feed the Ultra until there's no longer no more solar potential, and then just go from there. All right, so I'll head back inside and I'll give you my final thoughts, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys. So there you have it. That's the solution. So just to recap, I have the Delta Ecoflow Delta solution, which is 2 Delta Pros and 4 smart batteries, and the Smart Panel 2, powering all my 120 circuits in the house, plus 1 240 circuit, which is associated with the smart water heater, or not smart water heater, but the hybrid water heater. So that solution, I had to use 1 tandem breaker to combine 2 circuits, which was cool, not a problem. But I still have those contactors connected. I can't really think of how I would use them under these circumstances because I have 2 respective strings. But what I'm thinking I may do, I might get creative now that I know I have that method, and maybe do a series, because right now this will be parallel from the 2 strings. The panels are in series. The runs back to the house is in parallel. So I might do a parallel back to series via those contactor strings and those contactors, and create an alternative path in series to the Ultra. You know, that might be, actually I might start drawing that up tonight. And that way I can remotely now, under normal circumstances, we're feeding the Deltas. Yeah, I just thought about that while talking to you guys. Under normal circumstances, we're sending power to the Deltas, but at any point, I can reroute power and send them to the Ultra. And that way I don't even technically have to add a string. And the good thing about the Ultra can take both DC, well, these can too. The Ultra can do DC and AC, just like the Deltas, can do DC and AC charging simultaneously. So sometimes what I do, because the Smart Panel 2 has the capacity to charge, right? So while I'm charging, and if I want to like distribute the solar energy simultaneously and keep them at the same rate charging, I can offset that by doing that. I'll do that. And if I do it, I'll do another video and show you guys what I come up with. But anyway, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all you guys. I love you. And I pray that God is with you. I pray that you find him. I pray that you seek him, and that we find the faith, the stamina, the strength to endure what's remaining for our lives, so we can ultimately meet him in glory, right? Thank you guys for watching. Love you all. God bless you and keep you in his holy name, I pray. Have a blessed morning, evening, afternoon, or night. Take care. God bless you guys. Bye.